She was born in the outskirts of Seoul to an American GI and a young Korean woman. He was born in Alsace, France, land of pork and cabbage. She was put up for adoption at 3 and then lovingly raised in Virginia by her new family. He was 16 when he began his apprenticeship. She found her birth mother when she was 19. He came to America and became one of the world's greatest chefs. They fell in love and married over a decade ago. Now, Jean-Georges and Marja return to her birthplace to chronicle the tastes and traditions of Korea. These are the Kimchi Chronicles.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Marja.
Hello. How are you? Thank you for that introduction, Andrea. The last name is Vongerichten. If any of you recognize that Aussie voice, that would be Hugh Jackman. He just tweeted me a picture of him and Psy on the set of Wolverine in Australia right now, so pretty cool. So I'm talking about Korean food. Before I get into that, I kind of need to tell you a little bit of my background. I was born in Korea to an unwed 19-year-old mother who met a young GI. And she said she fell in love with him because he looked like Jimi Hendrix and he could hustle. Anyway, she becomes pregnant with me and he leaves his tour of duty before I'm born, so I never met him. But Korea, you can imagine, in the mid-70s, don't do any math right now, not telling my age, was, you know, it was a hard time for people of mixed race. So opportunities were limited for my mother, who was, again, unwed, uneducated, and being single, she really kind of was left with no choice but to do what was best for me and give me up for adoption. So I was adopted by my loving adopted parents. My adopted mom is in the audience now, my sister Kai. So my adopted father was an officer in the Marine Corps, and he was stationed there on a tour of duty, and they'd just gotten married. So they heard the plight of all these Amerasian children and decided to adopt an Amerasian child. So they adopted me and my brother, who is not here tonight. He's playing soccer. Thank you, Rick. Anyway, so actually I grew up in Falls Church, Virginia, went to McLean High School, and Duke Ellington, thank you. So I'm a local, so it's good to be here. Back to my story. So I grew up in Virginia, you know, typical middle class, upper middle class family, doing tap lessons and piano and, you know, riding my bike in the cul-de-sac. I really was not exposed to Korean culture or food for that matter for quite a long time until I found my birth mother in New York. And I was able to do that because my parents, before they left Korea with me, they went and, you know, my father actually went into my file and found some information on my birth mother and actually located her in Ujeongbul, Korea. So he spent some time with her, gathered photos. My mother kept a bunch of information in my file, and I was able to call the Korean embassy in DC when I was in college. And I told them that I was Amerasian and adopted from Korea, looking for my birth family. And, you know, the conversation was about 20 minutes. 3 months later, I get a call with my best friend. They found my birth mother. She's in Brooklyn. I said, oh my God, it's like a Pandora's box. It was like I've been waiting all these years because I did know that I was adopted, but, you know, I never had any real sense of a tie to it other than just kind of memories that were like clips of a dream. So, you know, I sat there for like 3 hours with my best friend with this number in my hand, not knowing what to do. And I finally called, and it was late. It was like 11:30 or something. And this brash New Yorker picks up the phone, this guy. He's like, hello. And I said, hi. I said, you know, my name is Marja Allen, formerly known as Brenda Bay. That was my Korean name, Brenda. True story. I said, anyway, I know I'm not making sense, but is there a Korean woman in your house? And the phone went silent, and he starts yelling and stomping on the floor. He's like, Aunt Suki, your daughter's on the phone. I was like, oh, shoot. So she gets on the phone and promptly faints. So I spent the rest of that good 3-hour conversation talking to my cousin by marriage, my mother's first marriage, I guess. So anyway, as soon as I got in contact with her, I met her finally in person. We didn't send any pictures. I think she really we both wanted to know if we, had that innate kind of primal knowing of each other. So I land in the airport, and there's a sea of people, and this was LaGuardia at the time when you could go up to the gate and wait for people. I see this lot of Asian faces, but I see her poke her head out. And what struck me first was that I used to always watch Soul Train, and there's that Asian woman with the long, long hair. And I used to wonder, what would, just used to wonder, anyway. Met her at the airport. She had that long hair. I was like, oh my God, and I recognized her instantly. It was like in a movie when you zoom in really close, really fast. So she whisked me away to her apartment, and she served me a meal of my favorite foods from when I was little. So I had bulgogi, which is Korean thinly sliced beef, and it's marinated. Chonga kimchi, which is our version of radish. And she put it on a chopstick, and she was like, you eat it like this. I was like, okay. So, I took a bite of everything, and it was amazing because, this flood of memories came back. I don't know where. I hadn't had this food in 17 years, and my taste buds were just alive again. So after that, she started introducing me to more and more Korean foods, and that's kind of how I started to learn the language again. That started my journey into Korean food. Fast forwarding to Kimchi Chronicles, it was kind of a chance meeting that I met my producers. They're having dinner at the restaurant, at my husband's restaurant, and I was actually having dinner with Hugh Jackman and his family. We're neighbors. Anyway, so my husband took me over to meet Charlie Pinsky and Eric Ree, and they were actually pitching the show to a Korean network. And he said, have you ever met my wife? She's half Korean. And they said, no, really? So I went over, and Eric, who's Korean American, he said, do you speak Korean? What's your story? Blah, blah, blah. So I gave him like a 2-minute, synopsis of my life. They called me the next day and asked me if I wanted to host this show. I really think they just wanted Hugh on there, but. Anyway, so, little did I know when I started this journey to do Kimchi Chronicles, what an eye-opener it would be for me. Being half Korean and, not really looking Korean, I kind of felt like an outsider. And I realized going through my journey in Korea and gaining more knowledge about the culture and the food, that's really what was missing, and it wasn't really anybody's validation that I needed. So that was an amazing spiritual journey for me. I believe when you get into any culture, you have to talk about yourself, and I think the easiest way to relate to people is through food. Kimchi, I love that our show's called Kimchi Chronicles because kimchi is so distinct to Korea. It's not Chinese, it's not Japanese. Actually, the funny story about kimchi is that, there are more than 200 or 300 different kinds of kimchi. Not all of them are spicy. Some are made with soy sauce even. I heard a story from someone, don't quote me on this, but they said that when Korea was occupied by the Japanese, these Portuguese missionaries had brought over these spicy chili peppers from Mexico. And the Japanese thought that the peppers were poisonous. So they gave it to the Koreans, who were able to preserve and create this whole new world of flavors with this red pepper. You have to talk about yourself, and you have to talk about your culture, and this whole Korean wave is just about us being exposed. I mean, Psy is amazing. I think his video is awesome. But Americans are just hitting the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what Korea has to offer in drama, in music, in food. I feel like, we as Koreans are kind of late. We're a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of getting ourselves out there, because I think I've heard from a lot of Korean Americans as well that, certain aspects of our culture, like our food being pungent, has been a source of embarrassment growing up and being in school and things like that. And, I find it to be a source of our distinction, in this culture. The French they're not embarrassed with their stinky cheese, so why should we be embarrassed with kimchi, you know what I mean? So in terms of popularizing Korean food, I'm doing all I can in terms of I'm a staunch traditionalist. I'm really happy we have all these, food trucks and Korean taco trucks, gorilla. I love it. I think it's great. It's making Korean food more accessible. I will always be that staunch traditionalist. And you will get those stinky chigaes from me. Now, I have pretty much said my piece on Korean food and what we're bringing to the table. I'm glad that scientists and doctors alike are noticing the health benefits of Korean food, and Americans are gravitating towards that. And I know this wave is going to continue, and I just urge everybody to, look into this Korean culture, watch the Korean dramas, get to know our culture a bit better, and I think you will find a new love. That's it for me. Okay, so before I go, I have a special treat for two people today. I'm going to ask one of the Cultural Center staff to come and with the giveaway the giveaway bag. Okay, so I'm going to pull out two names from this bag. And the first winner will receive an autographed copy of my cookbook and DVD. And the second winner will get a copy of the Kimchi Chronicles DVD. All right. Cool. Is that one? Oops, I have two. Sorry. Is that one? And the winner is Ashley Chandler. Can you stand up? Yay. Okay. Second one. Jackie, ARCE. I have no idea. Hi. Oh, good. Great. Thank you. I hope you enjoy. Thank you for your time.